Good morning, my friends. Good morning, and I wish you a very, very warm welcome. My name is Mr. Dilly, and it's a joy to be with you today for the very first Mr. Dilly Meets World Kindness Day special for this year of 2024. Today, I have three fantastic guests coming up for you to speak about their books and to speak about kindness and give you lots of inspiration and ideas for you, for your classroom, for your own lives as well. Right, before we meet any of my guests, shall we have a quick look at a little video from Zaro TV? This explains a little bit about what World Kindness Day is. So thank you to Zaro TV there for allowing us to show that little clip, explaining about what World Kindness Day is and what World Kindness Week is in general. But let's get into the guests. Who have we got coming up first? Well, she is known for her inspiring books such as Everest, The Remarkable Story of Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, and amongst many others, Jumbo, the most famous elephant who ever lived, a particular favorite of mine. Her latest book, as you can see up there, is called Let's Fill This World with Kindness, True Tales of Goodwill in Action. It's a book that encourages us all to spread compassion and positivity in our everyday lives and much more. So let's welcome to the first ever Mr. Dilly Meets World Kindness Day 2024 special. Put your hands together. Lovely Alexandra Stewart. Here we go. Alexandra. How are you, Alexandra? How are you?
I'm really well, thank you, Mr. Dilly. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
A joy to have you on. Now, your book couldn't be obviously more apt for World Kindness Day 2024. Let's fill this world with kindness. What a wonderful title. Tell us a little bit about what the actual book's about, because it's a really inspiring read. But I'll hand over to you to tell us a bit more about what the book's about, if that's okay.
Yeah,
here we go.
That's really kind of you. Yeah, so it's basically a story, a book filled with stories of individuals who've done incredible acts of kindness throughout history, modern day, right back to sort of the 18th century, and it's throughout time. And the idea is to show how very normal everyday people can really change the world through their very simple acts of kindness. And the stories range from really incredible acts of kindness to really small acts of kindness, but they all make a huge difference. And the idea is to show readers that that you don't have to be a superhero to help change the world with your kindness. You can just a small act of kindness can really make such a huge difference. It also explores the science behind kindness, which I know you're going to discuss later on. The idea that there's a very real reason why being kind actually spreads, kindness spreads, and it's all to do with hormones and neurotransmitters that charge around your body when you do something kind, and how those acts of kindness are catching, and how by being kind to someone that compels them to be kind, and it starts with a chain, which then will hopefully make the world a kinder place.
Absolutely, we see that throughout the show today. Actually, with we got that other guest later on, and with yourself and your book and the examples in the book. But and also a few of the Alexandra mentioned about the science of kindness. I think I said before the show to our guests, I think we're all actually hardwired to actually do it, and we don't think we are, because it actually makes us feel better in what we're doing. In your book, so there's 25, is that right? 25 different stories. How did you decide what to include? I mean, how did you sort of go about sort of putting all this together and the stories to include in that? I think that's quite hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard, but it's such a heartwarming experience because you don't have to do very much research to come across some incredible stories from throughout history. It was really important to find different types of kindness in different situations. So we've got examples of kindness in war. We've got examples of kindness in the face of prejudice. We've got examples of kindness to the environment and kindness to animals, and all sorts of different ways of being kind that speak to different people. And I really wanted to represent people all the way around the world as well, not just people in the UK, but people in lots of different countries. So it was really important to try and find representation around the world to show that, like you say, as humans, we're all kind, and there's examples of that everywhere. Wonderful examples of that everywhere.
So some of the people were heroes, but I mean, I suppose we've all got that within us. In your book,
Yeah.
they face in a lot of them very difficult situations they're in, depending on what it is. How do you think kindness to them made a difference, even when things were tough? Do you think it kind of really made a difference to them doing that or behaving that way when things were tough?
I think absolutely. If you look at the stories that I've written, there's some incredible examples of kindness, and it really was particularly the ones in the examples I have of kindness in the face of prejudice and kindness in war. These people were really struggling themselves. They were going through a pretty terrible time themselves, but by being able to reach out and help others, it kind of made, like you say, made them feel better, made their situation better, made them feel less helpless, and made them feel as though there was some light at the end of the tunnel and some light in the world. It really helped them as much as the people that they were helping themselves.
Well, why do you think for all these people that showing kindness was so powerful in their story when things got tough? Why do you think it was such a powerful thing? That what enabling them to bring that part of who we are as human beings really made that such difference? I mean, we're talking about these people now, so obviously, why do you think that was?
So I think it just goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that in that as humans we are all hardwired to be kind, and it's something we have that's innate, that's within us, and so it was a very natural thing for them to do. And particularly, there's one story, I won't read it to you today because it's quite one of the longer ones, but it's about an entire village in France who worked together to hide Jewish people, members of the Jewish population who were escaping from the Nazi regime. This is during the Second World War, and they worked together to hide these people and to keep them safe from the Nazis who were hunting them down. And an entire village, an entire community got together, risking their own lives to help these people in need. And that was something that was a very powerful way of fighting against this terrible evil that was all around them. But it gave them hope because it showed that humanity deep down isn't this horrendous thing that's happening it's sort of all around them with the Nazis sort of chasing down people. Actually, deep down as humans, the norm is for us to be kind, and that gave them hope amidst all this terrible stuff that was going on.
I was going to ask you actually, it may be that one. Are there any particular stories in there? I know you're going to give us a little sort of little taste of the book in a minute, but are there any particular stories in there that really kind of stood out to you? Maybe ones you've never heard of before? Was that one, or is there any others particularly?
That was the first one I wrote, in fact, and that was the one that that really kickstarted me on the book, because I just thought it was in such an incredible story. So again, it was in action, this idea of kindness spreading. It all started out on a cold winter's night. One of the vicar in the village, there was a knock on his door, and his wife answered the door, and there was a lady, and she was freezing cold, and she had tattered shoes on, and she was in fear of her life, and she just wanted some help. She was on the run. She was a Jewish lady. She was on the run. And she said, "Please, will you help me?" And the vicar's wife let her in and helped her out. And then from there on, other people saw her doing this, and they said, "We want to help. We want to be part of this too." And gradually it spread and spread. And then the entire village got involved. And despite the fact that regularly the Nazis used to come to the village and raid the village and try and find, they kind of suspected something was going on, but no one in the village gave anything away. And then it spread even further. It spread to the surrounding villages as well. So it was just this incredible tale of bravery, courage, and kindness in action and spreading, and it's just the very embodiment of what we're talking about
I think
how
it's amazing that I've said this on a couple of previous shows, so some of the children watch might have heard this before, but it was actually kind of embodied that. It was an American children's entertainer. He died now, but he was huge in America, not really well known so much out of that. In fact, Tom Hanks, which some of the children watching may know, the actor Tom Hanks, he did a film about this guy called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. As it's an entertainer called Fred Rogers, and when children used to ask him, you know, all the bad things in the world, or there's a disaster going on, and all the bad in the world, and he used to say to them, "That is true." He said, "But look carefully and watch the helpers.
yes,
watch all the people
exactly that
are actually rise up to actually balance that up." So it brings out the best in people at the same time, and that amazing thing where we just do things for other people for no gain for us whatsoever, you know, and that's all in all of us, which is a wonderful thing. We've got a couple of school questions for you, and then I know you're going to give us a little taste of the book as well. So we've got a couple sent in beforehand, and then we've got a couple on the live chat for you as well, Alexandra. So we'll go through these fairly quickly if we can. So first one is this from Prince Infant School in Birmingham. Did you enjoy writing your new book? So thanks for your question, first of all.
Yeah, great question. And yes, I absolutely did. It just filled me with happiness and inspiration in it. Because, you know, as I say at the start of the book, you can turn on the news and you see some not great things going on, making the headlines. And there doesn't seem to be much good news about. But just like you said, Mr. Dilly, if you actually look behind the headlines, you can see this amazing, magical kindness going on all the way around the world. And that fills me with such hope.
It does. That's a wonderful answer there. And we got another one that's sent in before the show for you, Alexander. St. Mary's Catholic Primary School in Isleworth. I'm spelled wrongly. Not Isleworth. Do apologise. What is your favourite memory of kindness and kindness as well? So this we will touch on this later on. We've got an author panel for you later on. But have you got a particular memory in your life of where someone's done something kind that kind of really, you know, because sometimes they can just touch you on a moment, and it's huge, isn't it? The impact. And it's a very small thing that someone does. Any particular thing?
Yeah, do you know, I thought of that, and I've got one which I'll share with you later on, but just a most recent one. And funnily enough, it wasn't kindness that someone did to me, but it was a very, very powerful moment. So we went to the Isle of Wight during half term, and we were driving down this very small narrow lane, and there was a bicycle in the front, and it was really slow. And I was just about to sort of go, oh, you know, what a pain. And then I stopped. I saw it was a tandem bicycle. And the person on the back had a tabard on, and they were blind. And so there was someone on the front of the bicycle who was going with this blind cyclist and taking them around the island, you know, doing an activity which really meant so much to this person who ordinarily wouldn't be able to cycle. And I just burst into tears. I just thought, which is pathetic, really, because but I'm a woman of a certain age who gets very emotional about things, and I just burst into tears, not least because it was kindness right in front of my eyes, kindness in action, and I just thought, gosh, I'd like to do something like that. That's so inspirational, and also I felt terrible for having been grumbling about being stuck behind a cyclist beforehand. So it was that contrast of me not being very kind, and then this incredible act of kindness was happening right in front of me, and my kids stared at me and just said, "Gosh, you're a weirdo." And I,
well, the thing that's the thing is that, you know, we and this is the kids watching as well, and all of us really, is that, you know, if you look, if the kid, you're looking at phones or looking at TV or whatever you're looking at like that, you're sort of fed this that we're all awful, and human beings are awful and all this, and the actual opposite is completely true. The opposite is true. And as we said, we're hardwired for kindness, and it's everywhere, and you can be part of it as well. And that's the one from the live chat, and then we're going to have a little reading from you if we can, Alexander. So this is from, here we go, Hedgehogs class. Gwen from Town Church School. Thank you very much for your question, Gwen. Sorry. How long did it take you to write your book? There we go.
Oh, so I work in a school library 2 days a week, and I write 3 days a week. So I write research and write 3 days a week. I think it probably took me about 2 months of that. So I'm really bad at maths. I bet you guys could work that out for me. But it took about 2 months to write the book, working 3 days a week. But once it's a huge process. Once you've written the book, you then have to edit it, which means you have to go through and you send off your manuscript to your editor, who crosses things out and says no, and I will take that away, put that in, blah blah blah. And when I write books, I always overwrite them, so they're usually about twice as long as they should be. So it's a sort of long process after that. So all in all, from start to finish, it probably took about 2 years from the idea to the publication.
That's brilliant. Well, thanks so much for your question there, Gwen. Now, hand over to Alexandra now. So what are you going to sort of read from us? Are you focusing on one particular individual? Going to sort of skip around a bit?
So I just got one story that I'm going to read to you. There's lots in the book, but we've just had Remembrance Day, which was on Monday. So I thought it would be a good idea to read a story about kindness that happened during the Second World War. It's a moment of incredible kindness that happened during the Second World War. So I'll just go in there. It's called Friendship in the Clouds. So the American B-17 bomber plane had been ferociously pounded by enemy aircraft. With 2 of its engines faltering, half its tail missing, and its systems failing, it was a miracle it was still flying. Even worse, the brave tail gunner, Sergeant Hugh Eckenrode, had been killed, and most of the men on board were badly injured. It was December 1943, 4 years since the start of World War II, 5 days before Christmas, and a few hours into the American crew's first ever bombing mission over Germany. They suspected it would also be their last. As the plane limped back towards its base in the United Kingdom, the pilot, Second Lieutenant Charlie Brown, looked out of his window. There, flying menacingly alongside him, was a German fighter aircraft, the Messerschmitt. Charlie closed his eyes and shook his head. When he opened them again, the aircraft was still there. You see, he thought he was dreaming, but it was still there. Bracing himself for what would surely be the end, Charlie was astounded when it didn't come. Incredibly, rather than attacking them, the German pilot signalled for Charlie to land and surrender. Charlie decided to ignore the request and continue on his flight path. All the while, the German aircraft remained by the B-17's side. So the German aircraft was flying alongside this terribly badly shot up aircraft. They were both 2 enemies flying alongside each other. Eventually, after safely escorting them out of German territory, the German pilot saluted, peeled away, and vanished. Stunned and relieved, Charlie made it back to England with the remaining 8 members of his crew safe and sound. Unsurprisingly, Charlie never forgot the mystery German pilot. He knew that if the pilot had been caught helping him, he could have been executed for treason. So it was the duty of the German pilot in that airplane to have shot the Americans down, but he didn't. He helped them get away. Decades later, Charlie remained so thankful that he decided to try and find his unlikely guardian angel, and in 1990, he succeeded. The pilot's name was Franz Stigler, and during the war, he had been one of Germany's most talented fighter pilots. When the 2 men finally met, Franz explained why he had helped Charlie all those years ago. Looking into the smashed windows of the B-17 bomber, he hadn't seen the enemy, but fellow humans in need. To me, it would have just been the same as shooting at a parachute, Franz said. I just couldn't do it. I just hoped that he would bring his wounded men home. Charlie and Franz remained the best of friends until their deaths, just a few months apart in 2008. There's that picture of it again. And you can actually go on, if you go on YouTube, you can see a lovely film of their meeting, this reunion of these 2 sworn enemies, one who had helped the other. And it's really moving. And needless to say, they cry as well.
Well, you must, as you said earlier, it must be each of these stories, and I can imagine it's all like that. You must think this is really hard to put together because it's so wonderful, but it's so sort of heartbreaking as well, isn't it? But it's absolutely, it's beautiful to listen to it and realize that these things were real. These things happen, and happen still every day. Happen every day,
It's incredible that what humans can find within themselves, and you hope, don't you, that you would do the same thing? Do you know what I mean? You hope that you'd have that within you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we all have. Let's have a really couple of quick. We've got quite a load coming on the live chat for you. I'm going to just jump into a couple of them and very, very quick answers. But thanks for all your questions for that. So we have this is from here we go. Sharon Horty, Grasshoppers Class, Aberdare Town Church. Jacob asked, why did you write the book? You kind of said already, but anything else you'd like to add to that?
That's a great question, Jacob. So I have kids. I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I really want them to. I see them at school. I see things that happen at school, and I see how important kindness is. And I really think it's so important to get the message across to you guys, to children, that kindness is so important, and it can be so easy as well. It can be hard, but it can also be so easy. And the smallest acts of kindness can change our world and make it better.
That's brilliant, Alexandra. Thanks very much for that. Do get yourself a copy of the book. It's absolutely wonderful, beautiful book, incredibly inspiring, touching, and also, makes you think about what you can do to make the world a better place. Starting today. Let's start today. So thanks very much, Alexandra. We'll speak to you later on. Let's have a big round of applause. Alexandra Stewart. Thanks very much, Alexandra. Before we welcome, as I said, my next guest, I'd like to show you a little video. We spoke about, and Alexandra spoke about, the science of kindness. In these times, we hear about more and more of us kind of getting anxious or getting stressed about things. But being kind to others and thinking of others just can make you calmer, can make you happier, can make you calmer and healthier. And it's a scientific fact that it does that. And so it can make you a better human being, make the world better around you, your world, and just the world in general. And it's free to do so. We can do it right now, every single day. So let's have a quick look at the science of kindness from the Random Acts of Kindness Federation, and then we're back with my next guest. Let's have a look at this.
Sometimes it's easy to feel like the world's getting harder. But if we look closer, on the news, on the web, on the street, we're anything but unkind. Every day, we hear new stories of people trying to make the world a better place. And together, we can make the world that little bit kinder for all of us. It all starts with just one person, you. The thing about kindness is that it's just about the only thing in the world that doubles when you share it. And it's a fact, backed by science. Studies have shown that if you perform just one random act of kindness a day, you'll not only reduce your stress, anxiety, and depression, but your body is flooded with the same hormones that make you and the person you've helped calmer, healthier, and happier. Serotonin, which heals your wounds, helps you relax and makes you feel good. Endorphins, which reduce pain. And oxytocin, which reduces blood pressure and makes you feel more loving and loved. You'll both be more energized, feel less aches and pains, more confident, and could even live longer. And if other people see you helping someone else, they'll be filled with those same feel-good hormones, meaning they're significantly more likely to pay it forward. Like taking that extra moment to hold the elevator for someone, spotting a coffee for a stranger who's just a few cents short, giving your neighbor a hand with their groceries, even just smiling and meaning it. It doesn't take much, but it can make a huge difference for everyone. Those people you've helped will help other people, and those other people will help even more people. And those random acts of kindness can start a chain reaction that can spread across an entire community, a city, a country, and with enough of us, the world. Now, isn't that the world we all want? And it all starts with one.
Very much for the Random Acts of Kindness Foundation for letting us show that video. Now it's time to welcome my next guest. She is an award-winning author and poet known for her enchanting and nature-inspired books for children, including Cherry Moon, of course, polka dot poems, and the wonderful When Poems Fall from the Sky. And today on Mr Dilly Meets, I have a bit of an exclusive for you, as her next book, the one on the right there, is not actually published until next year. I think it's April next year, 2025. I Hear the Trees. It promises to be another beautiful exploration of the natural world, inviting us all to connect deeply with nature and each other. So please welcome to Mr Dilly Meets the wonder that is the wonderful Zaro Weil. Zaro, hello Zaro, how are you?
Oh, hello, Mr Dilly. I'm great, and I'm so happy, really thrilled to be here. And I can tell you my eyes are all teary from Alexandra's beautiful stories. That last one about the two men in the plane really was so touching.
So beautiful. And a whole book of that. You'd be in pieces by the end of it, wouldn't you, reading that book? 25 of those.
I was hoping.
But amazing. Amazing. But your book, Zaro, so this is very exciting. So I Hear the Trees is obviously going to be your next book. Is it published next year, next April? Is that right?
Next April. It's published next April.
So in your books, it's general. If anyone's familiar with Zaro's work, you show so many sort of animals, plants, and different parts of the world, from the smallest up to the sort of largest, in so many magical ways. How do you think paying attention to nature can make us feel kinder towards the world around us, not just nature, but sort of each other? Do you think that there's something in that, in terms of that?
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot in that. And curiously, when I started writing this book, for some reason, everybody in the book started talking to everybody else in the book. So I had to make a list this morning of all the creatures that talk to other creatures. So frogs were talking to the moon, worms were talking to sweet potatoes, dinosaurs were talking to little birds, the rose was talking to the wind, a mother wolf is talking to her cub, an old tree is singing a song to a little tree. And all those things, I was thinking, why in the world did I write those things? And I think it's because it's all about love, and it's all about kindness, and that when you see something out there, the big thing that you can see is nature. You see mountains, you see rivers, you see streams, you see your dog, you see a cat, you see snakes, you see all these extraordinary flowers, you see all these things in nature. And when you see something, your heart goes out and you kind of love it because it's there and it's so exciting. And that leads you to really look at something and to really listen to something. And so the idea is that if you see something and you listen and you look, you're relating to that object, to that character, to that person, to that animal. And then being kind to them is really accepting them, accepting the mountain for who it is, seeing everything around us with spectacles that are much clearer. And that gives us a big sense of peace and happiness in our own hearts.
Would you say, with the title of your new book, I Hear the Trees, that's very much at its core, that kind of looking and listening, with the hear in the title? Is it very much a kind of the theme that runs through that book?
It completely runs through the book. And it's funny, when I start to write a book, I never really quite know what it's going to be, big quotes, about. I just know the things that are interesting to me, and the book in a way writes itself. So I start with I Hear the Trees, and I just wanted to hear how the wind sounded in the tree, how the light sounded, how the sun sounded in the tree, and what the light did in the tree. So yes, I think all these things around us are ultimately deeply connected to our own selves. I think we are very much a part of what we see around us.
You kind of already said this, but why do you think it's important to sort of notice all those little things around us? Because really, as I said, I suppose if you notice them all, it becomes a big thing. But why do you think it's important to notice all those little things around us? And how do you think this can help us be kinder to not just the world, but I guess and the people in it, but ourselves as well? Why do you think that is?
When you notice something small, something unobtrusive, or something big, you see it. And by seeing it, you're seeing something other than yourself. And all of a sudden, you think bigger than yourself, and you think, oh, there's something out there besides me, and you reach out to it. And suddenly, you're in the world of kindness. You're in the world of reaching out and accepting the other person, the person who's different, the animal who's maybe scary, maybe isn't not scary. So I think the little things add up to mean an awful lot in our lives.
Absolutely, but it's to notice them, isn't it? It's just to see them. They're all there. I mean, it's all there in front of us. In all your books, and I'm sure this is the same in I Hear the Trees. If you could share one bit of advice, I suppose, about being kind and helpful to ourselves in the planet, that kind of like echoes the kind of your book. Do you have a sort of a single piece that you might be able to kind of pull from that and share with us? What do you think? Anything at all?
I do.
Yeah. Any idea?
I do. And this is a funny one, but it's about love.
Okay. Love is all around us.
Love is all around us. So this is a big conversation between a lot of things. It's called "I Love You." I love you, says the bug to the moss. I love you, says the moss to the rock. I love you, says the rock to the mountain. I love you, says the mountain to the sky. I love you, says the sky to the sun. Well, I love you, says the sun to the moon. I love you, says the moon to the sea. I love you, says the sea to the earth, as earth says, I love you to everyone.
That sums it all up. There we go. That's beautiful. Zaro, we got a couple of questions sent in from schools beforehand, and then we got a couple on the live chat for you as well, if that's okay. So let's get these questions up. So Lucy Fields Primary School in Godalming, what are your favorite things to write about? And now obviously it's about nature, but is there any particular things you really love writing about in particular?
Oh, my dogs. My dogs.
How many dogs have you got?
Well, I had two. They died. Now I have a new doggy, but I always write about my dogs because they always teach me so much.
Well, what sort of things? Well, this is an interesting thing because obviously animals are a huge theme in your book. So what sort of things do animals and specifically your dogs and some of the children watching that they may have pets at home as well, what do you think are things specifically your dogs, but animals can teach us as well? You kind of touched on it a little bit, but anything in particular?
Well, they teach us. My dog kind of runs around and she just wants to play all the time and eat cookies and have her tummy scratched and play frisbee. So she is so joyous. Some days, like all of us, you wake up and you don't feel 100% happy or great about something, or you're worried or you're concerned about something or other. When I see my doggy, I sometimes think, well, okay, things will be okay. Haiku's okay. Things will be better.
I think that sounds a bit like me, actually. I like to play all the time and eat cookies. So and play frisbee. That would be nice. So that's fantastic. Okay, that's another quick question. We're going to go to the live chat as well. So Emma's a home educator from Gosport. Thanks for your question, Emma. How do you show kindness to yourself every day? It is to do with that packet of cookies. Just saying, so I'll hand over to you for that. Do you have a particular thing that you do?
Emma, thank you. That's a really, really important point. And yes, I think it's super important to show kindness to yourself, to not be too judgmental, to think, oh, I didn't do that right, but to be really forgiving and to be kind to yourself and to treat yourself the way you would treat a little pet that you love and say, oh, don't worry, it'll be okay. It'll be okay, Zaro. It's not so bad. You may have made a mistake, but it'll be better tomorrow.
I like that. It'd be better tomorrow, isn't it? There was a quote. It said, someone said to someone, it said, oh, happy birthday. And the person said, yeah, it's not your birthday. And he said, yes, it is. Because every day is another day. It's a chance to start again. And I love that. And
that's really good one.
Yeah, no, really, really lovely, isn't it? So let's have have you got another little poem for us? We go to the live chat, and then if you've got another little poem, that's great. If not, then not to worry. But let's have a little go to the live chat. Here we go. This is from Mrs. Evans from Rigby Chase Lane. Did anyone inspire you to write books? I know you've written quite a few now, but any particular inspirations for that from other people, or just it may be from someone you know, it might be from other authors or other poets?
I was inspired to write books because I used to be a dancer and a theater performer for children. And I worked every day. I went to a different school every day for all the school year for about 10 or 12 years. And I hadn't written any books during that time, but I think the thing that inspired me the most were the kids in all the schools that I visited, and their excitement and their creativity and their response to the words that we said on the stage and the things that we did made me think, oh, maybe I could do a little bit more. And that's when I started to write books.
That's brilliant. Here we go. This is from, great name, Mr. Bench. Thank you, Mr. Bench. What made you love nature? So that because all your books are sort of infused with that. So what made you love nature?
I think I don't know. I was brought up in a small town by the sea, and I just loved going to the beach every day as a little girl. And when I was in high school, I would walk along the boardwalk. I lived in America, and they had these boards that would take you for a little promenade down the beach. And I loved how wild it was. I loved that it was never the same. I loved that there were different shells every day. I loved that it was all crunchy under my feet. I loved that sometimes it was gray, sometimes it was blue. I loved that it was mysterious and it was always changing. And that excitement about nature stayed with me my whole life.
And it's kind of, I suppose, you know, as you're saying earlier, that listening and looking. And if you're really listening and looking, you can pick up all kinds of wonderful things, can't you? That can make things a little bit better. And you find the way that you can bring peace to yourself, and by being kind to others and looking around. Do you have another little poem you could read to us? If you haven't, that's not a problem. If you do, it'd be wonderful to hear, because this is a bit of an exclusive, as it were. Anything you'd like to share with us there?
Oh, I have a funny, well, nice one, a short one, cute one about mushrooms. That's fantastic.
Okay, we'll hand over to Zaro for a poem about mushrooms.
Okay, this is called Razzmatazz fungi. A fungi is a mushroom. Okay, Razzmatazz fungi. Hidden in fields and forests dwells a razzmatazz world of wondrously weird fungi, up popping at night like little curls and slices of neon-colored moons right here on Earth. Fluorescent green streaks on dark branches, gleaming purple knobs on rough bark, shiny orange mini saucers, each so bejeweled and bright. And if you should just happen to meet a razzmatazz night fungi, and if you should just happen to put your ear very close, you could just hear it breathe your name in a wondrously weird way.
Look at that. I love. As you know, I'm a big fan of Zaro's poetry. It's so magical, so wonderful. Zaro, good luck with the book when it's published. It's not till next year. I Hear the Trees is out next April, but all Zaro's other books are available from all the usual outlets as well. So do get yourself copies of that. Really inspirational, beautiful, tender, heartwarming, make you look at the world in the way it should actually be looked at. I would recommend. The wonderful Zaro Weil. Thanks, Zaro.
Thank you, Mr. Dilly.
See you later on. Thank you. So Zaro Weil there. Now we're going to welcome my next guest, Nazima Pathan, in just a moment. But before we do, I've got a little thing for you, which may be helpful for your school. Kindness UK, if you go to this particular link, kindnessuk.com/schools, there are lots of ideas up there for your school and class and activities you can do to support kindness individually, but in your class and in your school as well. There's also a kindness pledge that you can kind of pledge to, and you can make a request on there as well for a free primary school pack of resources to be sent to your school. So kindnessuk.com/schools, and you can get yourself one of those as well, which is fantastic stuff. So now let's welcome my next guest and my final guest today, and put your hands together and welcome to Mr. Dilly Meets the wonderful Nazima Pathan. So round of applause, and Nazima, keep the round of applause going as a welcome up to the show.
Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm great.
Really lovely to have you on. Nazima is here with her new book, and it's her debut book, Dream Hunters, up here. And I understand it's the first in a trilogy. Is that going to be a trilogy?
At the moment, it's 2. I've written the second one, and then I guess we'll see.
Well, tell us a little bit about what the story is about of Dream Hunters. I'll hand over to you for that, and then we'll sort of talk about kind of the characters and kindness and friendship that kind of runs through this book. So I'll hand over to you to give us a little bit of a bit of backdrop to what the Dream Hunters is about. Over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, Dream Hunters is about the idea that dreams are very brief, but very powerful. And if you could harness their energy, they could be magical. And in my story, which is set in a fantasy India, there's a hidden citadel where dream hunters catch dreams from around the world using magical mirror portals and dream hooks to reel them in, and then they can recycle them into new dreams and make custom dream potions that could heal. But my character, Mimi Malou, she discovers as a plot to catch nightmares instead and concentrate them up into dangerous, poisonous potions that could harm, intimidate, or even murder. And she uncovers a plot which is to kill a king by scaring him to death in his sleep using terrifying nightmares.
That sounds amazing and terrifying actually at the same time, which is brilliant. Throughout your story, Mimi, who's obviously as you said the main character there, goes on a big adventure, faces lots of danger to save the king and her parents. How does, as it's World Kindness Day, is there any examples of how kindness helps her on her journey, even when things get really tough for her? Any particular thoughts on that with your characters?
Yeah, so first of all, Mimi it has had a very sheltered life, but she is in essence a very kind person. She takes under her wing a newcomer called Rafi. He's her best friend. He's kind to her because she hasn't got many school friends, and he sticks up for her. He sticks by her. But she's got a big task. She's got to cross the whole of India, which is a huge country, and she's never left the citadel. And so the kindness of both Rafi, who comes from the outside world, from Mumbai, as well as from his street orphan friends who take Mimi and help her find a way through hiding and sneaking onto trains and buses and getting up to the north of India and into the palace of the king of Ratnagar to save him. And those little friendships as they develop and the small kindnesses that they have to help them on their way. So it's just showing that kindness means you can help each other address problems that might be too big for you on your own.
That's a very, very good bit of advice. That's why sometimes you just need help from other people, don't you? Sometimes just one good person, but sometimes you just need help from other people. As she goes through the story, and she has to decide obviously who she can trust, who she can't trust as she goes through it. And you mentioned about their friendship. Well, what do you think your book can teach children about finding friends that sort of share our values of kindness and help others? What do you think it can sort of that sort of friendship in the middle can teach children about that? I mean, you sort of mentioned it a little bit already, but anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think friendship. Well, humans need others. We're social creatures, and I think when you're at school and when you're young, it's so you're learning best from your friends around you, how the balance works, and just being listened to and accepted for who you are. So Mimi has got a lot on her shoulders. Her parents are in jail, so people look down on her, except for this friend Rafi. So his kindness in just taking her as she is and believing in her goodness, and not tainting her, not judging her. I think that's important for me.
That's fantastic. And that's the other thing, is I think as human beings, there's kind of our nature where we sort of judge people. I mean, and that can look too harsh a word sometimes. I think we all look at people, make a decision about them, and a lot of that's just inbuilt sort of survival tactics, isn't it? You sort of like, fight or flight, that kind of thing. But then sometimes obviously it goes way too far. So it's basically looking at yourself as you go along and actually sort of giving everything a chance, and they will then give you a chance at the same time. And we've got a couple of questions for you here, Nazim. So let's have Hedgehogs class again. Thank you very much for your questions. This is from Colton. Hello, Colton. Thank you for your question. Aberdare Town Church School. What is the kindest thing that you've seen someone do? Quite a big question, that, Colton. But any particular things that spring to mind from that?
That's a great question, and I mean, I know, like Alexandra's got a fantastic list of book of brilliant, huge acts of kindness. But for me, just even small things. So when my son started a new school, and he was 7, and he'd started this school, and everybody knew each other, and he didn't know anyone. And the teacher noticed he was so miserable, and she took a couple of other children she thought would be friends with him, so when they had tutorial mornings in sort of a time of registration, they'd take half an hour out with these 2 other kids, and then let them go and do an activity together to build that friendship. And that, I was just very lucky that they spotted that, and he became very happy and settled, and is still very good friends with those 2 boys.
That's a wonderful thing. This is one that's sent in before, and this is really not to do with your particular book, but it was just sort of asking your opinion on this. I don't know if you got this. The Roth CAB Primary School from Rotherham. What other books could you recommend, and not necessarily on kindness, but maybe have got kindness in them, for year 4 plus? Are there any other particular books that kind of spring to mind? It could be a novel, might be poetry, might be anything. Anything that kind of springs to mind on that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what Rashmi Serdeshpande writes, most of hers are non-fiction. She's also got some picture books, but she's very much into the importance of empathy and kindness in her books, and I love all of them. So those I'd look up Rashmi's books as ideas on kindness and self-belief.
That's brilliant, and self-belief as well. Do you have a little reading for us from the book?
Yes.
That'd be brilliant to hear a little snippet of it. So I'll hand over to you, give us a little bit of context, and then after you go, read us a little bit of Dream Hunters. So over to Nazima for that. Thanks for Nazima.
Thank you. So Dream Hunters, this starts with in the middle of a dream hunt, and Mimi and Raffi are there with their dream creatures. Raffi and they hunt using magical mirrors. So Raffi points to a wisp of light slithering out of the tent. It's a soft, speckled golden colour and undulates, coiling around itself. Its tip wiggles playfully, as if it's sniffing the night air. I know dreams start to unfurl as the memory of them fades, but this one is still a perfect helix, as if it's only just slipped out of the dreamer's mind. I run my finger across the classification table in my copy of A Beginner's Guide to Dream Hunting. Colour, gold. Shape, helical. Movement, playful. Fresh, grade 1 dream fragment, I say, rare as flying horses. Lalu watches from my shoulder, her wings quivering every now and then in excitement. Raffi's dream creature is a chiff-chaff. Like her human, Mithi is good-natured, often hungry, and chatters constantly. She settles on the top of our looking glass, warbling and waggling her tail while I uncap a bottle to trap the dream thread once we reel it in. As we steer towards it, a drift of wind pulls the thread further away from us. It quivers, threatening to unfurl. I'm on it, Mimi. Raffi moves the lever, but forces it too hard. The glass jerks, and we lose sight of the camp. Nice and slow. I grab the controls, trying to recenter. Zoom up and guide the portal back to the original coordinates. Nothing. Then I spot it. Yes, we can fix this. We move in fast. This time, I steer. The dream sparkles as it senses the mirror, and my insides turn into a spray of butterflies. Raffi holds his dream hook close to the glass and sweeps a circle across the surface, transforming it into a rippling silver liquid. As we move close to the portal, the chill night air in the desert makes goosebumps spring up on my arms. Move like a ghost, I say. I hold my breath as the wisp floats towards us. Raffi slides his dream-weaving hook through the mirror, twists his hand, and catches a loop of dream onto it. Great. Now pull it through, I say. Nice and slow. You've got this. I have. I nod and smile at him. Yeah, I've got this, he says. He hasn't. His hand shakes as a dream technician passes by. He's nervous. The dream quivers. Mithi flits around the mirror and I shoo her away. Now is not the time for distraction, but it's too late. The golden dream thread slivers and shivers. My heart sinks as it unwinds and slips away, fluttering down through the sky on the other side of the looking glass, down, unravelling and splintering into countless pieces until poof, it's gone, as if it never existed.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love the idea of the guide to dream hunting. That's wonderful. I love that. Was it, just quickly for me, was it fun to sort of write about a reimagined India in that kind of sense? And how did you approach that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I did mix the idea of a lot of India's history and size and grandeur in the ancient buildings into new cities and kingdoms, because at the moment India's a vast democracy, but in the old days there was kingdoms, and of course that gave me the idea of a king, a faraway king whose life is in danger, and that's the mission that Mimi has got, is to try and get to him before it's too late.
In fact, that just echoes another question we sent in, so I won't put that up. But there's just one last question for you. Sharon Horty, Grasshoppers class. Ruben is asking, do you have a favourite book at all? That's a hard one, a favourite book. But is there anything that kind of like, oh, I think that actually is up there? Sometimes it's to do with, the time you're in, isn't it? It changes. But do you have a favourite book at the moment at all?
Yeah, so there's a couple that I've read that I've really enjoyed recently. If you like fantasy, then Alexandra Armstrong's Evenfall. I've really enjoyed that, which is just out very recently. And if you like funny fiction, then Nate Lassaw, he's written a couple of books, Steady for This, and one recently which I absolutely love called King of Nothing. They're set in South London, and they're just fantastic.
Good luck with Dream Hunters book or volume 1. Let's give a big round of applause. Thank you very much. It's Nazima Pathan. Thanks very much, Nazima. I'll speak to you in a minute. Thank you very much. Before we go to our author panel, I'd like to show you a video, and it's called The Kindness Boomerang, and it's from a organization called Life Vest Inside, and in the basis that you can you have the ability to help everybody inside of you. So let's have a look at that. And I want you to watch the video and watch as the camera kind of tracks as acts of kindness are passed from one individual to another, and then sort of boomerangs, bounces back to the person who first started it in the first place. So just see if you can sort of think, well, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? Where's it going next? And how that kind of passes on through the video.
Sometimes I lay under the moon, I thank God I'm breathing, and I pray, don't take me soon, cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the water stay raging. In this maze, you can lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it phase you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all children will play.
Because kindness keeps the world afloat. And if that doesn't make you think about it, nothing else will. And you can see the boomerang effect of just one simple act throughout all our lives. Imagine if we all did one act of kindness every single day. Wouldn't that make the world a better and different place? I think you agree it probably will. Now let's welcome back all my guests for our author panel. A few more questions about kindness before we finish today's show. First of all, I'll start with you, Zaro. What does, and this is for all of you, but what does kindness mean to you, Zaro, in terms of that?
It means, I think, going beyond the self that you know. It's adding another dimension to yourself in terms of reaching out to another thing, another person, another creature, and that makes you have another facet to you. It just makes you bigger. Kindness makes you bigger, and it makes the world smaller.
That's wonderful. Alexandra, anything particular?
Just as Zara said, it's just doing something something for someone else, something good for someone else, without expecting anything in return. I think that's the sort of simplest form, I think.
Absolutely. And Nazima?
I agree with both of them. I just add, I guess, seeing the world from someone else's perspective or something else's perspective, and trying to help or understand them better. So just, yeah.
Absolutely. I think so much of this is for all the children watching. You may agree, this may not, but a lot of what we look at every day can make us very inwards looking. And the more inwards we look, sometimes the more kind of selfish sometimes we get. We get, you know, all of us. We're all capable of doing it, especially when we're tired or having a bad period of our lives. And I think, you know, but as soon as you start looking outwards, you'll be amazed at how that actually starts to release, and that hold on you and getting really kind of stuck in the corner can also be free from that as well. Here we go. Another one. How does being kind to someone else make you feel? So let's start with Nazima for this one, and we'll work backwards. So how does being kind to someone else make you feel?
I think as you had that lovely illustration earlier with the sort of animation, it does set off some feelings of goodness inside, and it's very satisfying.
Very good. What about you, Alexandra? Anything particular?
Definitely, you can definitely feel, like you're saying, those hormones and neurotransmitters. It's this sort of warm, fuzzy feeling, and it makes you feel light-hearted, I think, and just generally more optimistic about the world.
That is optimistic. That's very, very true. And what about yourself, Zara?
Well, I was really taken by some of Nazima's text, and I love when she talked about the butterflies in the dream.
Yeah.
And I think when you help someone and when you're kind, you do get these little flutters inside of you that just somehow, you don't know where they are and how they happen, but they just make you a little bit happier.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. We'd say throughout the whole show today, all of us, you know, it's all in us. It's kind of like it's a quality that's deep rooted in all of us to do so. We're sort of hardwired for it. This is a question from school again towards you. Chase Lane Primary School in Harwich, Maple class. Thank you very much, Maple class. What has been a recent show of kindness that they have received, possibly that kind of can be, as I said, it can be something really small, and we're just as the children watching. Seeing people, literally seeing them. So you go into a shop and you buy something from somebody and they give you something and you get something back, and that happens. Or you can look at them and you can smile at them and you can say thank you, or how was your day, and things like that. Little tiny things make a huge difference. I wonder anything particularly, Zaro, for what has been a recent show of kindness that maybe you have received that's kind of really hit you at a moment, maybe?
Well, there's one that my really good friend who just turned 85 had received, and she's had a couple of hip replacements and she doesn't see very well. And she was walking around in a street in South London, and she just got all lost. She didn't know where she was. And somebody looked out from their window and they saw her, and she was all confused looking. And she has a cane, and that didn't quite work. And they went outside, they used their phone, they called a cab, and they said, "Honey, you're taking this cab, I'm paying for it, they're going to take you home."
Look
And
at that.
It's so
she
lovely.
didn't know this person, and she wouldn't accept any money back. It was just pure kindness.
That's amazing.
And it was so powerful.
So powerful and so incredible. It happens all the time. I mean, we're all the time. What about you, Alexandra? Any particular recent show that maybe you've received or seen from other people?
Yeah, literally just the other night, I knew it was the night before last. I was in a bit of a muddle, and I forgot where I was and stood up and bashed my head really hard on an annoying bit of ceiling in my house. It's a bit of a wonky house, and it really hurt. And I was very cross, and I made some very cross noises. And then all of a sudden, I felt a little pair of hands around. I was bent over, sort of saying, probably I might have said a few rude words, and I was bending over, and there's a little pair of hands wrapped around me. "Mummy, are you all right?" And that was my daughter, and I was just so touched by that. It was really kind, and it's like you say, it's a small thing, but it really touched me. That was really special.
Moment. It's massive, isn't it? It's huge impact. These tiny little things we can do to each other. What about you, Nazima? Anything particular?
Well, I loved those. So yes, I suppose a different one, a pet one too. I think I've got a cat, and so when I wasn't feeling very well last week, I had a lot of time in bed, and my cat would come and curl up as if she knew that I was unwell. So that was nice, just keeping an eye on me.
I thought you were going to say, and the cat incredibly made me dinner.
No, sadly not. That was
unbelievable. It was really good, which is great.
That's your next book.
Next, there we go. There's a good
Yes.
idea. There we go. Here we go. Thanks for your question there. Can you give, and there might be the same things, you might have crossover on the same points, but can you give 3 examples of things you can do to be kind? So this is for yourselves, but also for any of the children watching, even the teachers watching as well, for any of us really. And as I said, I appreciate you might cross the same ground here, but Zaro, anything, 3 things that you could do to be kind?
When someone does something for you or something that you're involved in, look at them.
Yeah.
Look at them, and then maybe talk to them and make a contact, because I think life is all about getting to know others, and it's all about intimacy. And we live in a world where, gosh, there's a lot of electronic things going on. We're removed from face-to-face contact. So when you're somewhere where you can actually see somebody, or someone is serving you, or somebody is walking next to you, or someone is sitting next to you on a bus. Well, be careful about that. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Yeah,
but I do think making contact with someone is the most important thing you can do, so that you look and you listen to what they have to say. And then that helps you think a little bit more about things in the world, maybe about them, and then maybe about you as well.
Great advice. What about you, Alexandra? Might be some of the same points there, but anything particularly there?
No, that's absolutely right. That's Sarah says. So the smallest things, but I guess 3 really practical things. So there's a lovely guy in my village, who he's so kind. He puts everyone's bins out on the right day, because where we live, we have like this crazy sort of schedule of when various bins go out, and I'm useless and very disorganized, and I can never remember. And lovely James, he just does it. He just comes and puts my bins out. It's so kind. And to think of paying it forward. So the other day, the bins had been emptied by the lovely dustman, and I was walking past my bin to drag it back up the driveway, and I thought, I'll take my neighbour's bin as well, because I thought, well, if James can take my bin out, I'm going to take. And it's so pathetic, isn't it? It's so boring, bins, but it just really lightens my load, and it makes me want to help.
That's what I'm saying. These tiny little things, you don't even think about it, but you do it, and it's massive. It has a huge impact, doesn't it? These little moments in your life, especially when you're having a difficult time yourself. Someone shows you a little bit of kindness. The effect can be massive. What about you, Nazima? Anything else?
Yeah, I think as Sarah said, I think it's the human connection in our world that's so much online, and so just interacting, a smile, listening when if you ask someone how they are, actually listening to what they say, or even a moment of patience if you see someone struggling, not getting impatient with them. Those sort of things I think are also kind, just simple things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and don't, as you all kind of mentioned there, the power of a smile, just a smile at someone is huge, and generally people will immediately smile back.
Yes.
And how powerful that is, because try meeting someone for the first. Try it. This is for anyone. Try meeting someone for the first time and not smiling and see what happens, and then smile at them and see what happens. It's completely different. Just a simple thing. Sorry, yeah, Zaro, go on, you got something.
I was going to say, I think it's more powerful than a yawn spreading.
Yeah, it is, and that's quite something, isn't it? I know. Okay, one last question for you all. It's really lovely to hear all your thoughts about this. Thank you very much. I hope all the children watching it's really inspiring for you. So, what is one small act of kindness you think everyone could do today to help make the world a better place? So let's have Nazima, anything at all, just one simple thing that everybody watching, whenever they watch this, can do today to help make the world a better place.
I think ask how somebody is. Ask how someone is, and are they okay? That's
great. Okay, Alexandra.
Do you know, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was thinking they're all going to say smile, so I'll think something different. And but no, I know absolutely is just taking the time to notice people around you and check in with them. Yeah, even if it's your mum.
Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? Notice, but then listen to what they then say back.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the weird thing about it is I'll say this at the end of the show is. This was from another show. It's a poet, Maya Angelou, and I don't know if any of you saw the Black History special. And she said she was talking about one of her poems, and she said that what she loved was the nobleness of the human spirit. She said, everyone's going through something, and yet every day we go up to people and we say hello, and they say hello back, and they say how are you, and they say I'm fine, thank you. That kind of wonderful thing that we all have in us. But knowing that basically. Maybe that person's not so fine, and to listen if they need your ear or help in that sense. Take the bins out. Offer them cake. I always find is a very, very good thing as well. Cake's a wonderful thing. Zaro, anything else you'd like to add for that? Small act of kindness you think everyone could do today to help make the world a better place?
Well, I think tell people some positive things that you might be thinking about them out loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that really makes you feel great when someone says something nice about you to your face.
Oh, it does. Absolutely.
Do that enough.
That's a wonderful thing. We can ask questions all day. It's been wonderful to have you all on today. I hope you've all enjoyed the show. And your books really highlight the theme of kindness that we're all trying to do. Zara's book's out next April, but Alexandra and Nazima's books are out now as well, available from all good bookshops and online things and all the rest of it. Let's anything else you'd like to say? Do you want to leave the children with any messages at all? Alexandra, any last words of wisdom or anything, or just goodbye would be fine?
I think that you all are very kind, and you all have it within yourselves to just go out there and make that difference and to make the world a kinder place. And it is so much easier than it just is so easy, and you can absolutely do it 100%. So challenge yourself to go and do that. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Alexandra. Nazima, any particular last words you'd like to leave the children with?
No, I think thanks for listening, and everyone. I hope you've seen that it's just small things. So maybe saying something nice to one person and at your lunchtime or in playtime, then see how the reaction is. Not just do something kind, but see how the effect is on someone else.
Wonderful, yeah. And Zaro, lastly, Zaro.
Oh well, this is just to remember that you will have a tremendously exciting, fantastic superpower. You can be kind.
Fantastic. That's great.
A kindness cloak.
You have a kindness cloak, or you might have a real one as well. In which case, it's fantastic. So listen, thank you very much, all. I'll give you a big round of applause. Let's give everyone a big wave. Thank you very much. So Nazima, Pathan, Dream Hunter's out now. Alexandra, Stewart, let's fill this world with kindness. And Zaro Weil, I Hear the Trees and Other Wonders are out next year. Thank you very much, Zaro. Bye. Wasn't that wonderful? What a wonderful bunch of guests. Just to echo what they just said there, and I think Zaro kind of mentioned it as well. So I'm going to show you a quote. This is probably one of my favorite quotes about kindness. And it's from the book called Wonder by R.J. Palacio. And it says, if every person in this room made it a rule that wherever you are, whenever you can, you will try to act a little kinder than is necessary, the world really would be a better place. Wonderful story, wonderful book, and a wonderful quote. So how can we do that? Well, small things like, I don't know, holding the door open for someone, or offering a compliment, listening to someone, lending someone a listening ear. Do we need to do it? No, it's not maybe necessary. But if you want to make the world a better place, if you want to feel better about yourself, and when we're kind to others, we often find that they are kind back, and things start to change. And if you want things to change, it starts with all of us, starts with you. Remember, as I said earlier, every single person that you meet, every single person, this is everybody in your classroom, your friends, your parents, your step parents, carers, teachers, are facing some sort of problem right now, right at this moment, right today. Each and every one of us. You haven't got to scratch the surface too far to find that's the case. And those little moments of kindness, little listening, saying kind things to them, just helping them out in little ways, can have a huge effect on all of us. So remember, be kinder than is necessary. And that's a wonderful thing to end on today. It's time for me to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Be good to each other, and make the world a better place. It starts with you. Starts with you. No excuses. Thanks for my guests today. So Zaro, Alexandra, and Nazima, they were brilliant. I'm going to give them another big round of applause. And it's time for me to say it's goodbye from me. My name is Mr Dilly, and it's goodbye from me. Thanks for watching the World Kindness Day 2024 special. Goodbye. Thank you very much for watching.